Got one more week to go before we get that big CPI data. Right now, I think the next big thing people are looking for, the next catalyst that could possibly drive things higher or reverse the course that we're in, is the next FOMC meeting, the next rate hike, right? And that is coming. Today, we're going to get Fed meeting minutes. Okay, it's going to be released about 2 p.m. But this is showing what the Fed said last month. So this is not the new one. The new one's coming out in November. I mean, February. Man, I can't talk this morning. Not November. February. We're going to have another FOMC meeting in February. So that will be a big one to look forward to in terms of what the Fed says, what Chair Powell says. How does he see things? Is he going to stop or slow down the rate hikes at least, right? The last meeting, he was pretty dovish. So I think in this Fed meeting minutes, it's going to show just as much. Him and other board of governors, they're worried about overreaching. And they know all the indicators they look at are lagging. So they don't want to go too far, right? And they've hinted that they could slow down the rate hikes in 2023 and completely stop this year too. They didn't talk about pivoting completely, going to the negative, meaning cutting the rates, but they indicated it will stop sometime. And another big thing to look forward to next week, not this week, next week, is the CPI, the inflation data. And that will be a very, very, very important piece of data because we had 2 CPI readings that showed inflation going down in the U.S., right? If we have another one, 3 in a row, I think that's enough proof to Powell that things have slowed down quite a bit and enough for them to continue their current path of kind of slowing down the rate hikes and stopping altogether. So, all right, so that's kind of what's going on in the U.S. market today. I said Bitcoin is holding and looking like it wants to inch up. The overall market cap is for crypto is going higher. So this is awesome. This is good. Very, very good. But let's talk about this big battle now next. Self-proclaimed Satoshi, Craig Wright, gets in a big battle with Ripple CTO. It's hard to keep track because Craig Wright tweets out 1 million tweets per hour. There's so much that he has said. So I kind of scroll through and try to get to I try to summarize basically what was being said, right? First of all, in case you guys don't know who Craig Wright is, he is a data scientist. And years ago, he came out and said that he is Satoshi, that he himself created Bitcoin. But since those remarks, he has not been able to prove it. He has sued a lot of people. He lost one, won a couple, tied a couple. I mean, he's basically trying to sue people into submission, into saying that he's Satoshi, although he can't prove it. He himself said he can't access a Genesis block. He can't access Satoshi's wallet because he destroyed the keys. Is that true? We don't know. But in the community, many people recognize Satoshi was probably a group of people. Dave Kleeman and the other guy, I'm drawing blank here. But Hal Finney. Many people in the community think that it's these two guys, Hal and Dave, that possibly created Satoshi, possibly created Bitcoin. And some think that maybe Craig Wright was pulled in just to write the white paper, but he was never given the keys, right? So was he part of the group? We don't know, but Craig doesn't even recognize any of the other guys. He just says, I did it myself. Anyways, so I'm saying that to just give you context, because how trustworthy is this guy? At this point, I would say not at all. But he does go on and attack Ripple. And, you know, this thread, it just goes infinitely. I mean, that's why I said it's really hard to keep up. But I think that what this started was the fact that Craig Wright said XRP Ledger can't scale. I think that's how it started, looking through everything. And then, you know, of course, David Schwartz has to, you know, jump in and kind of protect things. And then they get into a lot about law, about defamation, about how companies are not really using XRP. Even though Craig Wright, he did cause a contentious fork of Bitcoin Cash, not even of Bitcoin. Okay. So in terms of the order, Bitcoin had a contentious fork caused by Roger Ver and spurred Bitcoin Cash. And then Craig Wright caused a contentious fork of Bitcoin Cash and created Bitcoin SV, which no one pays attention to anymore. So David was kind of going and saying, you know, how can you define XRP being a failure when BSV is much smaller, right? And you caused a fork, and every single metric is bad. Is bad, but you know, that didn't stop Craig Wright from attacking more, talking about how it can't scale, how no company is using XRP or Ripple. Okay, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And then, you know what? Craig Wright asked for example. He's like, hey, if XRP or Ripple is being used so much, how come I can't find anything outside of marketing materials, right? So then David Schwartz tweeted this company, Santander, and this video that's on top of Ripple's YouTube page. And this guy talks about how they use this app called OnePayFX, and it's supposedly running on top of Ripple, the XRP ledger. But then people pointed out that if you go into their SEC document, the one that they filed with the SEC, if you look in here, there's not one mention that whatever they're doing or whatever they're using is on top of the XRP ledger. And then the argument goes on is because financial companies that are using, or any companies using financial products, have to be audited, and there's this thing called Sarbanes-Oxley audit, right? And because of it, there's this argument that very little, if any, financial companies or companies at all is using XRP or using XRP Ledger for any of their main products, right? So it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And then Craig Wright, you know, of course, tweeting a million tweets per hour, is basically saying that, yeah, David Schwartz, Ripple, can't come up with any real world examples of companies that actually use XRP as a cross-border payment settlement currency, or you even utilizing really the ledger. And then he's claiming that Ripple keeps saying because of NDAs, they can't discuss things, right? And then at the end, Craig Wright calls XRP a Ponzi and continues forward. And then, yeah, and then David Schwartz responded saying, oh, how come, you know, if no one uses it, then how come there's this thing here where it says the banks and financial institutions that Ripple refers to as its customers do not use ODL. Basically, this is from the lawsuit. So, but you know, Craig Wright is saying, well, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't say anything, right? So there, anyways, I try to sum it up. Again, there's like a million tweets going back and forth between these two guys, right? So whether or not you believe Craig Wright in this case, he is a questionable character, like I said, but I do think that some of the points he made is hard to argue against, because this is one of the reasons why I've always stayed neutral on XRP, on Ripple, because some of these things, right? And you know what? That's why I share the most educational video ever created about XRP, because of these things. But yeah, this is coming at a time when it's crucial for Ripple to win that lawsuit against the SEC, because it's not just crucial for Ripple, but it's crucial for an entire industry. We don't want to see SEC label XRP a Ponzi, or label them as the security, or label them as anything, right? Conducted illegal, token sales, whatever. We don't want to see any of those things, because we don't want to see SEC get stronger. We don't want to see Gary Gensler get stronger. So nevertheless, I am rooting for Ripple to win that lawsuit, because that is a big, giant thing that I don't think any other project has the resources to be able to fight. So there you go. There you go. All right, so wanted to cover that big battle that's still ongoing. Outside of Ripple and Craig Wright, what else is going on? Well, this is a blow to Celsius. I think many people forgot, excuse me, including myself, that Celsius has about 37,000 Bitcoin miners. That's with Core Scientific. But here's the thing. They can't afford to pay their bills, electricity costs, maintenance costs, and Core Scientific argues that these 37,000 mining rigs cost them $2 million per month to maintain. So one of the things that Celsius was looking for was to kind of keep these rigs going and take the Bitcoin that they mine and sell it off and kind of plug some of the holes they have. But the courts ruled that, yeah, you can't do this, because Core Scientific is also having their own legal financial problems. So the courts ruled that, yeah, they get to shut down the 37,000 mining rigs, which definitely doesn't help Celsius. But it helps Core Scientific, because now they don't have to pay this $2 million bill every month to keep it going when they see no benefit from it, right? So it helped Core Scientific quite a lot. But another blow to Celsius, and it's still unknown when they're going to sell off their assets. I don't know where the auction is. They kind of claimed bankruptcy right around the same time as Voyager, and Voyager has gone through its proceedings and, first sold to FTX, now sold to Binance pretty quickly, relatively speaking. Celsius is still unknown at this point. I don't know what's taking so long, but not good for them. Not good for them. What else is going on? I did see this. Grayscale Trust, their premiums are all very, very negative at this point. I've always said this. The premiums really don't indicate anything. At times, it was plus premiums, and now it's all negative premiums, but you can't redeem, right? Just because you own, let's say, a Bitcoin trust doesn't mean you could redeem for Bitcoin, or Ethereum trust and you could redeem for Ethereum, right? So the premium really never had any use. But the fact that most of them are negative shows you that I think there's a lot of fear in the market right now. No one really wants to buy these trusts. More people are selling these trusts on the open market than buying, right? But you got to figure the institutions that bought directly OTC style from Grayscale, they're probably not very happy, because they have to, I believe their vesting schedule is like 2 years. So they can't sell for 2 years. And even when they do want to sell, things are much lower. So there's no point for them to sell, right? So it's kind of like that. But I bring this up because there's still a lot of fear about Grayscale's parent company, DCG, what's going to happen to them, right? As Barry is trying to plug that hole from Genesis, are they going to be forced to sell off some of these trusts, at least the assets in these trusts, right? Or is he going to be just fine? I don't know, but just want to tie it all together there. What else is going on? Indonesia is launching a national crypto exchange in 2023. So this is definitely positive. When it's a national exchange, that means entire countries and all the regulators inside that country is supportive of this. So this is obviously very positive. If we get more adoption, more growth around the world, better it is for the entire space. And then what else is there? No, as for Bitcoin, of course, got more good stuff For example, total supply held by long-term holders, all-time high, 72.3%. Think about that. Over 72% of all circulating Bitcoin is held by long-term holders. That is fantastic. Very, very, very little circulating around on exchanges, which is actually dropping by the millions per day, by the way. Yeah, as this number continues to climb, as the Bitcoins are being taken off the exchanges and being held, supply and demand, right? It's easy as that. Supply and demand dictates that as supply decreases and demand increases, what happens to the price? It goes up, right? So it's just a matter of time. And here we go. Here's another one that indicates it's just a matter of time before Bitcoin flips above, and then we'll see better days.